Austraeoh by Imploding Colon, read by Deathlight, Chapter 130, Duke. Is there something in your eye, Miss Dash? You mean besides this whole dang city? Rainbow Dash wheezed, practically lurching ahead as her lungs heaved and wheezed with the smoggy air filtering through the metal-laced streets. I've flown through volcanic ash clouds that were cleaner than this. I assure you that the fumes are relatively harmless, Steelteeth said as he strolled easily ahead of her. The Darkstenians have lived around factories for centuries. They've developed fuel sources that gives off very little exhaust. You call this very little? The life expectancy of a normal neighboring citizen has increased by 300% in the last decade alone. Just why the heck do they need all these smokestacks and grinding gears and conveyor belts and all this other crap anyways? Rainbow glared at the sky with a frown. She and Steelteeth blew through streets of thick traffic. Unicorns in leather and brass outfits strolled past them in solitary lines, paying heavy attention to their pocket watches. I can't for the life of me figure out just what they're building, and it's not like the capital is expanding any. That's because more than half the stuff they build is destroyed within a year and broken down into raw materials to make newer and more refined contractions. What? Rainbow Dash coughed again and limped after him. That's stupid! What the heck for? You're a pony of agricultural roots, if I'm not mistaken. I guess you can say that, yeah. And all acorns where you live repeat the same process of farming and harvesting every season of every year. Well, yeah, but that's not the same. Is it not? Equestrians live off the land. Darkstenians live off of industry. Why not make a life out of it when it becomes something affordable? Only back where I come from, ponies don't split up over petty politics when there's a surprise shortage on irrigation. Rainbow said with a sigh. She looked up at the high walls of improvised metal slabs serving as a barrier that separated east and west sides of the huge concrete circle laying in the center of the capital. Forgive me for being something of a female dog steely. I guess it's just my Pegasus roots is all. Nature is something worth making a fuss about because it's something harmonious. But industry, it's something invented by ponies. Opponents very rarely make things peaceful or healthy when they attempt to do what nature does, naturally. You strike me as a mare who knows a thing or two about harmony. Yeah, and you strike me as a stallion who knows what it means to have his mouth welded shut. Rainbow Dash made a face at the thick crowd of grumbling, unhappy unicorns that were gathered distantly around the walls that lined the pits. What in Luna's name is happening here? Doesn't take a constable to know civil unrest when he sees it. The citizens here are experiencing a literal schism of ideas, politics, and geometry. It seems fitting that many of them would be less than happy. We are talking about Darkstenians, right? Rainbow gave Steelteeth a crooked glance. It seems hypocritical for unicorns without emotion to get in a hissy fit with one another. I never said that they lacked emotion. But, much rather, they endeavor to hide them behind a highly industrialized speech etiquette. So they experimented to see if their boredom could outpower their anger? Rainbow said with a smirk. I could have predicted something like that failing in a heartbeat. Aside from this most recent development, they have always struck me as a civilized group of individuals. That's only 'cause you've been around them for too long. Rainbow Dash groaned. Yeesh, Steely, that must have been the trots. Poor little you, lying in the hospital. And then the nurse walks up and she's all coy femininity. Shall I he'd be a nurse, deliver a sponge bath onto you, he'd be a hulk of muscular horseflesh? And you're like, sure, whatever, babe. And she says, inappropriate advancement. My, what a fine posterior you have, my handsome outrider who'd be a quadruped. Shall I be your prize tonight, proceed with the rinsing of your midnight flank? And then young Steely says, fine, just don't let anything rust. And she's like, but I do you the favor of abrupting your maliciously fictitious anecdote before it carries on for another 5 minutes. Goddess, I give a million bits, just try to get you to punch me or something, you stick in the mud. You wouldn't survive the experience. I survived giant lizards to the face, inside a cave, twice! Rainbow Dash came to a stop when the crowd became so thick she couldn't advance anymore. So, what are they saying anyways? Steelteeth coldly replied, "Perhaps it'd benefit us to listen." Yeah, just perhaps. Train your ears, Rainbow began to pick up on the voices of those around her. They were all training their metal-laced horns onto one part of the wall. In a repetitious fashion, the Darksenians hissed and snarled. "Righteous fury, relinquish the West. Righteous fury, relinquish the West. Righteous fury, relinquish the West." For a long time, it looked as if they were shouting at the wall itself. But then, a tall stallion appeared within a cleft of the tall barrier. He bore a black face piece with a nozzle likened onto a gas mask. Long, curly black threads found around the rear of the helmet like a lion's mane. Despite the constant barrage of angry words, he stood proudly along the western border of New Ring. Staring down the masses as a group of guards protectively flanked him. So, who's the mouth breather? Literally. I would venture to guess a mysterious Duke Zobnatter. Yeah, really? Rainbow made a face. I was kinda hoping he'd be bigger. You have a singular imagination. I think you smell too. Shh, let us listen. Just as Steelteeth uttered that, Zobnatter spoke boldly to the crowd. His voice echoing through a shoulder-mounted speaker that crackled with magically funneled sound waves. "Sincere plea. I who be Darkseen's salvation entreat you once again. Those who be my brothers and sisters, come to this side of the wall, come to the true New Ring." He gestured a leather-clad hoof towards his chest and continued. "Epiphany's message. I who be transcendent have breathed in the fumes of the deep well. Righteous declaration. There is more to the darkness than chaotic anomaly. We are being robbed of industry because of our negligence. Message of conviction. We must give more than our labor to the industry. We must give our essence. We must sacrifice what we selfishly cling to. If we who be Darksenians wish to rise above the imperfections that plague us." The majority of unicorns merely drum their disapproval. It comes across as a monotonous hum of disgust. As hundreds upon hundreds of citizens fumble to express their negativity without losing temper, Steelteeth hardly batted an eye. As for Rainbow Dash, her eyes were trained on the deep pit between the walls of the city. She squinted at the dark space yawning within, and all she saw was a cyclone of lavender light flowing down it, like a tributary of bright liquid. With every second she spent staring into the abyss, she felt the irresistible urge to dive in. Regardless, she curled her wings to her side, all while sighing at the image of several auditors looming dangerously above. Meanwhile, Zobnatter was still speaking. "With the warning, do not give in to the deception of she who be governmental. She who be New Ring's leader is far too enamored with orthodox redundancy. Pivotal truth, revolutionary change is what Darkseen needs. Those who be pawns of industry need to look within and eliminate the last vestiges of equine frailty if the private machine is to be harnessed. So long as she who be governmental is in power, there will be no single New Ring. There will be New Ring and a defunct East New Ring." "He's much more radical than I'd first feared," Steelteeth remarked. "Really? Haven't you thought the same? I'm still reeling over the fact that he can throw his voice that far while wearing a gas mask." Steelteeth sighed, pulling the brim of his hat further over his face. A dainty hoof tugged at his trench coat. Excuse me?" A filly's voice remarked. Steelteeth and Rainbow Dash turned to see a teenage mare standing before them, clutching a cloak to her trembling body. "Are you really Outtrotters?" "Don't mind us, citizen. We are not in league with any pony by Queen Whitemane, and she is a diplomat of pure motive. You needed fear of presence. It's not that. I don't fear you two. I was wondering if you could help me. We're only here for a short visit. Steelteeth dismissively grunted. Royal business. Hey, Steely, hold up. Rainbow trotted closer to the young mare. I think we should let her speak. Miss Dash, I think it'd benefit us to listen to what Duke Zobnatter has to say. Dude, just open your frickin' ears! Rainbow Dash hissed. She leaned forward and pointed at her. Can't you hear? She ain't talking like the rest of them. Steelteeth raised a brow, as if coming out of an apathetic stupor. He turned and looked down at the frail pony. She gulped and stared up at the two of them with emaciated eyes. We have to talk, but not here. Please, take me somewhere safe. Safe? From him. The pony remarked, pointing up at the wall where the masked Duke was orating. I'm awfully frightened that he'll see me if we stay here too long. And why is that, young one? What is they've done? I've lived. Lived? She nodded in a trembling manner. I'm from Zobnatter's new ring. I stuck in from the other side of the wall. You from the other side? Rainbow Dash gulped. She stretched her neck behind her mane and cast the lavender glow one last look. How about we get something to eat somewhere? My treat.